I don't really have a stick in here, otherwise I'd tell you I have the talking stick. Good morning. Give me a minute to get my bearings. I think we're on episode 18, I think. Let me get dressed. Oh my goodness. It's raining. It's kind of chilly in here. The truck needs to warm up. I need to get some coffee. I'll be right back. Oh, we're dressed. We are dressed. Just had a wild night last night. Didn't even finish my Dr. Pepper. And for those of you who laugh at that just like I do, would know how my younger self used to be. As here's a little personal info. Well, 3 years ago, I managed to acquire the achievement, the t-shirt, so to speak, of a DUI. Yes, I got caught drinking and driving. You say that like it's such a bad thing. Frick. And for anyone that's watching that's not from Saskatchewan, I don't really know how to say this other than the fact of it's kind of used to be like the way of driving in Saskatchewan. I think we are actually, and don't quote me, actually, you know what, for anyone that's wanting to quote me, go on to Google and type in the statistic, or how many people, or no, does Saskatchewan have the highest DUI rate in Canada? I think we're there. I think for the per capita, I think is what it is. Just a bunch of drunk farmers and oil hands and truck drivers and convenience store owners out this area, which is also why they have some of the worst penalties. So yes, I learned my lesson. Now that I'm older, yeah, I did my time with my boyfriend, lost my license for 3 months. It was probably the worst thing ever in my life to happen to me because obviously I need my license. Stupidest shit I ever did. So, learned my lesson. Now I don't really drink. I don't really do anything anymore. I'm not fun. I'm old. So, yeah, that's... Good morning! That's how we're starting out this episode, talking about my DUI. Good shit. Okay, I'm gonna grab McDonald's. I'm gonna go into McDonald's, grab some coffee, and then I'll be back. Oh, well, parked up last night, and I decided it would be a good idea to just lawn dart myself into my parking spot. So now, I absolutely suck at backing up Super Bs. I can. I can probably back them up like 25 feet, like woohoo. There's some guys I know that could literally back them up straight and farther than I can back up a straight trailer. So, props to you guys, but currently, oh, wrong way. Oh no. So we're lawn darted in there and we're gonna back out of here. Obviously got a lot of room. There's a lot more trucks in here last night. Felt bad for the guy that was sitting next to me last night. I idled my truck for like 15 minutes. Poor guy had to shut his bunk vents, and then this morning he sounded like he was getting pretty mad. Must have had a coolant leak or something because his truck fired up and then it shut down again, and I could hear him reefing on that hood this morning at about 6:30 trying to get it open, and the truck fired up and he left. But nonetheless, all right, let's see if we can excuse me, see if we can't get these Super Bs out of here and get on our way. Woohoo! It's gonna be a good day today. Wasn't the straightest backup ever. Probably only for about 25 yards, but we're gonna fucking take it to the bank. Let's get on the road. All right. Another rainy ass day out here on the road. Like I say, we're gonna head over to Saskatchewan today and see if we can't get a load off, and then head her back for another one. I just wanted to give a little PSA, I guess. I don't know what that actually, PSA. I'm not entirely sure what that means, but for anyone that comes across this truck over the course of the summer and the fall, and you see the two big tags on the flatbed behind me. Oh, frick. Oh, yeah. Bro, I'm doing everything I can up here in this cab. You want to fucking honk at me again? Jeepers. That's what I was just about to say. For anyone that's out there following me this year, you get caught behind me, just know that I am doing absolutely everything that I can, hey, to get up to speed and to stay up to speed. Now, some people don't quite realize that, and they must think that most of us truck drivers out there are just, well, I'm sure there is a lot of us that are just, but not me. I'm busy in here, you know? This is an office. This is obviously a driver's seat of a truck. This is a bunch of different things. And I work to keep 62 miles an hour, 63 miles an hour, 104, 105 kilometers an hour. This truck does very well doing that, I think. I would show like a shifting video, but when I'm loaded, it could take me, if I'm pulling a hill, it could take me 2 to 3 minutes between shifts. And I ain't gonna let you guys sit there and just look at my ugly mug. Because I want it to be genuine, you know? I don't want to clip anything out to make it faster, because that's not how it goes. But so like right now, we're in what? 6 low, just pulling a hill, hanging out. I've got 1, 2. So far, what I can see, I've got 2 vehicles behind me, leaving the town that I just left. I think we should do a little segment here on these episodes to give you guys kind of an idea as to what it's like to be an over-the-road truck driver. Not a local guy, not a regional or provincial truck driver, because 9 times out of 10 when you're provincial, like, you go home on the weekend or you go home at the end of your night. But I don't really have a stick in here, otherwise I'd tell you I have the talking stick. But yeah, I think we should do a little segment, even though we already just released a segment that actually we'll be cooking with Oz here tomorrow night, I think. I got some, believe it or not, I got some breakfast sausage in the cooler, in the freezer here, that we'll whip up tomorrow. Yeah, talking a segment of just one story from when I was on the road that I can help paint you a picture of what my life was like back then. All right? I think that'd be all right. Now, when you're watching this segment, I'm sure there's going to be people out there that will think this, but I'm not saying this to toot my own horn. Please don't think that I'm sitting here making up some freaking story. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm a truck driver. I'm basically a fisherman, right? When you catch a fish, you hold it way back here to make the fish look bigger. You hold your hands in a certain way to make the fish look bigger. So we may or may not stretch the truth just a little bit to make it a little more entertaining. I'm not going to lie to you. Now, with that being said, there are some people out there that will basically downright lie to you. I don't care to lie. It doesn't do anyone any good. And 9 times out of 10 when they lie, it's not as funny. It's not as genuine. So, I don't know what we're going to call this, but I would like to start doing, you know, if I can remember to, obviously, because I'm a bit of a scrambled brain this morning. See? Yeah, even just one story throughout the video, give you guys an idea of what my life was like. So, we'll start with an easy one. For the very first OTR stories. No, OTR folk tales. No. Not OTR legends, because this is not anything of legend. Let me come back to that title. But anyways, one month in particular that stands out to me, and this was a month, y'all, not just a trip. This was one entire month, and we'll do the short form of it obviously. I was running for a company by the name of 520 Transport, and we were doing all the right things, running an e-log in here, being a good boy, etc., etc. And this was October, was it 22 or 21? Anyways, doesn't matter. 5-6 years ago, my dispatch phoned me up, and I still was kind of new to going to the States. And he phoned me up and said, "Yeah, we got a barge going to a pulp mill down in Louisiana." It's perfect. When do we load it? Today. Awesome. So I head up to Edmonton. I think I had owned this truck for about a year and a half at that point. Had all the oversized requirements on it. And loaded up this, I don't even know how long it was. I want to say it was 45 feet long or some damn thing. And like 10 feet wide, I think. It was going to a barge, or a barge, it was going to a barge. The barge was going to a barge. The barge was going to a pulp mill in Louisiana. And one thing that stood out to me on the way down was I actually thought I was going to have a death by suicide, not by me, but by someone else in the, like, coming at me and using my truck as a way out of this life. I was going through Arkansas. I can't remember what highway I was on, but I was on a double lane. 2 lanes going south, 2 lanes coming north. And I'm driving along, talking to a buddy of mine, and pretty soon I see a set of headlights coming. I'm thinking, it's just on the other side of the road. Nope, that car was doing an excessive amount of speed towards me, and only did when we got maybe a power pole, 2 power pole lengths away from each other, did I realize that this motherfucker is on my side of the highway, coming at me. I mean, okay, I'm not gonna lie to you. I have shit myself driving truck before. It's gonna happen. Bathrooms are few and far between. I thought I was gonna have to change my underwear that night, but nope. I'm in the right lane. He comes whipping by me in the left lane, going north as I'm headed south.
And I'm trying to sit there. Once he passes me, obviously no one died, no one got hurt. It's just a little bit scary. And when he goes whipping by me, I'm like, what the hell, you know? And I'm trying to process what the heck just happened, right? And then all of a sudden it processed really quick, because then I see about 7 sheriffs with their lights on, sirens going, driving faster than this dude was, going by me on the opposite side of the highway going north where you're supposed to be. That was on the way down. And then so that took about a week and a half or something like that by the time I got down there, by the time I took a reset and everything. And then we got reloaded, we unloaded that barge, and we came up to Memphis, Tennessee area. I think there's a place called Green Tree or Apple Tree or Apple Bottom or something. I think it's the same town. I can't remember what it's called at the very moment. Same town where Elvis Presley died and lived, or lived and died. I go to load a chrome baler out of a big factory, massive chrome baler, European baler. Friggin' thing fell through the deck of my trailer. So I had to get that fixed. Then, well, first we had to unload the baler, then we had to fix the deck, then we had to reload the baler. It was a big clusterfuck, and away we went. And I think I loaded some other stuff. I can't quite remember. But, so that was two and a half weeks. And, we get home there on my reset, and then I get a text. I don't even think I was 25 hours into my reset, and by law you're supposed to have a 36. Supposed to have 36 hours off after 70. That's cycle 1's 70 and 7 as they call it, if I'm not mistaken. And I think I was like 25 hours in, wasn't expecting to go anywhere monumental. And then my dispatcher at the time, he had a really funny way of crafting some odd loads to put loads together. He just would find random stuff, right? He phones me Saturday or Sunday morning. I think it was Saturday evening or Sunday morning. And this dude says, well, have you ever been to PEI, Prince Edward Island? I said, no, actually, I haven't. He said, well, I've got a 6-foot wide manure spreader, because over there they have really tiny everything, except their bridge connecting themselves to Canada, which is absolutely massive. So they have tiny farms, and they just need a little manure spreader to hook on the back of their tractor. Not a big implement. I said, perfect, sounds good. So we loaded that up. Coaldale or Nobleford, Alberta. And then he said, yeah, then your next piece is in Weyburn, Saskatchewan. I was like, oh, okay, what's there? He said, oh, it's, not that I need to air out anyone's dirty laundry, but it was a car of a divorced mother taking her, I think she was taking the kids and herself, fresh off a divorce, back to PEI. Ma'am, if you're watching this, your family was so good. They actually met me when I got on the island, and I met her dad, and then I met the local tow truck driver, and then she showed up, I think, if I remember correctly, and we all had this big bullshit, and it was good, and everyone was happy, and load was delivered safely. It was just a great end result. And on that drive, I distinctly remember New Brunswick. Was it New Brunswick or Nova Scotia? Maybe both, but it was, like I said, it was in October. And being in October over there, I'd only heard stories about how excuse me. I've only heard stories at that time about what the trees and such look like in October when they're changing colors. And let me tell you what, it has been a mission of mine on my list to go back to Nova Scotia and New Brunswick in the fall just to drive around, because oh my Lanta. Why do I have the hiccups? Oh my Lanta. Those two provinces, when the trees are yellow and red and orange and brown and some are still green, absolutely gorgeous. It is, oh man, unreal place to drive through. And so we get on the island, and I didn't realize at the time that all the locals, when they're trucking on the island, they get in, they do all their stuff during the day, and then they get the hell out because there's no truck stops. Well, I ran out. Sound like fucking Dr. Zoidberg off Futurama. I get on the island, I get unloaded, didn't realize there's no truck stops, and I ran out of hours. So there I sit in the height of COVID in the back of a Princess Auto. Now, they say the world is a small place, but just how small is it? Well, I'll frickin' tell ya. In the time that we've been doing this video, I've had two people pull out in front of me thinking they're saving time. When realistically speaking, all they had to do was wait for another, 15 seconds, not minutes, seconds of their life. I was going to say some other few choice words there, but their life, by pulling out in front of me. And I don't think anyone, or when they do that type of shit, they don't quite realize just how serious life can get when you get into an accident with 130 plus thousand pounds of weight moving at 60 to 65 miles an hour. I don't really know how else to put that in anyone's head until you're in an accident. And let me tell you what, it's not at the top of my to-do list. And I really hope it's not at the top of your to-do list. So for everyone watching this, please, next time you see a truck coming and you're like, oh, I can make it. I know how to drive. I just have to stomp my accelerator. No, don't. Just wait. Take an extra sip of cup of coffee. Have another drag of your cigarette. Do what you need to do, but just wait. I promise you, you will make more friends on the highway, and maybe even if you're lucky, you might get a wave. Or, who knows, you might get mooned. I don't know, but you'll be able to go to work and come back and see your loved ones. Quit pulling out in front of Sammy! God damn it! Fuck! Now I'm frustrated. Anyways, so back to this. I'm out on Princess Auto Island. Oh yeah, I'm on Prince Edward Island. In the back of a Princess Auto, I've been running my inverter, my chargers, my this, my that, and my truck dies. Well, I had a load for the Queen's Royal Navy coming back to Edmonton, Alberta. And no, it wasn't a tank. No, it wasn't a shipment of ration goods for the military up in Cold Lake. No, it wasn't a shipping container full of auto assault rifle thingies that we now call them under this liberal government. It was a dredge for Clean Harbors who was dredging the bay for the Queen's Royal Navy. And I'm assuming how it worked is they got third-partied out to dredge the bay because it wasn't deep enough for whatever ship was in there, or they needed to do maintenance or something. And the Queen's Royal Navy was paying the tab. So, here I am, back of the Princess Auto, truck's dead. I walk into Princess Auto, grab the biggest set of cables I can find, and I look for the farmerist, if that is a word, which I don't think it is, but it is now, the farmerist looking truck in the parking lot at like 8 a.m. on a Monday. I find one. And I get talking to the guy, and I ask if he can come give me a boost. He just, yeah, sure, whatever. So, and I'm not going to do the accent. I'm not going to try to do it, but I will say this. I am one of those people that picks up accents very quick. And after spending 2 days, 3 days out in the East, I ended up picking that accent up for 4 days to the point where I had a lot of people pissed off at me while on the phone because I would just speak like I was from there. Not very well, But that's how I would speak. It's actually kind of sweet because every time I went to Texas too, I'd pick up their accent as well. So I hope I'm painting this picture of what it was like to be out on the road going to Louisiana. We dropped the barge off, came back to Memphis, picked up a baler and some other stuff, and went back to Alberta already, unloaded, and we got a reset in. And now we're headed out to PEI, saw beautiful New Brunswick and Nova Scotia. Even PEI was beautiful. It's crazy out on PEI. I will say this. One fun fact about PEI, it has red dirt. Yeah, red dirt, like Georgia, USA, which is crazy to me. But anyways, besides the point, so this old timer, this farmer, he comes over to me, talking about the truck, talking about my career. I'm asking what it's like to live out in PEI because I've never been there, blah, blah, blah. It turns out, okay, how small this world is will never cease to amaze me. Because it turns out this guy knows my freaking uncle who lived in Calgary at the time for the last 25 some odd years. They grew up together. They live right down the road from each other. Like, what are the odds, right? So I get my truck boosted. I finish my bullshit with, we'll call him Mr. PEI for right now because I don't remember his name. I think maybe it was John. I don't know. Anyways, we get going down the road and we get into Dartmouth, Nova Scotia, where I load for the Queen's Royal Navy. And it was kind of unfortunate, I will say, because COVID was on big time, and in that, like, PEI was delegating if you were to come on the island or not. Like, I had to get the whole COVID test, not a vaccine, just a test. Had to go in the white tent there because there's literally only one way on that island other than by boat if you're on the road, and that's by one big long ass bridge. I can't remember what it's called. Is it like John Diefenbaker or the Canadian Memorial Bridge or something? But it's fucking massive. All right. So I'm in Dartmouth, Nova Scotia. We load these dredges up. Me and another guy, he's from Nova Scotia, has an absolutely beautiful Pete 389. Can't remember his name either, but he sure loved his Tim Hortons, because I think we stopped at Tim Hortons more than I ever have between New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, and Quebec than I ever have in my entirety of my life, I think. Not quite that bad. I'm just bugging y'all, because I know they love their Tim Hortons out there. So I load this dredge up, and we're heading back home. By now, we're on like week 4, right? Just had her 36 hours at home, not even. And on the way home, I will say this. This actually pissed me off. I went into Tim Hortons in Quebec. Now, I did take a little bit of French. I can say, if you ask me how I am doing, I can say, comme ci, comme ça, so, or je m'appelle Ozzy. That means my name is Ozzy. Or, I think it's comment t'appelles-tu? That's how are you doing? And if Mrs. Carrere, my grade 7 French teacher, if you're watching this, French has stuck with me since then. Just know that even though I did nothing with French, it's still there. More so than the math classes I took. But anyways, this actually pissed me off. I go into Tim Hortons and I get it. French people are very proud. They want you to speak their language. I'm sorry. I am not trying to have a conversation with you. I am just trying to get a coffee. And I am pretty certain that is across the board the same outcome if I walk into a Tim Hortons and I say coffee or point to a coffee mug. I can't remember what I was doing. That means I want a coffee. Now, to get into specifics, I can't because I don't know how to speak French. But this lady at the till, I said, "Hi there. Can I get a coffee, please? And thank you, ma'am." And she looked at me like Are you fucking kidding me? Really? And then turned around and walked away. My God, we are getting absolutely dumped on right now. That's good because I have so many freaking bugs on my truck. My truck is not white when you look at it from the front. It is gross. Disgusting, if you will. Yeah. She runs to the other side of Tim Hortons. I'm just like, okay, I guess I'll wait. And then finally, yes, someone did come along. And I don't know how to say I can't speak French, but I said, I don't speak French. I just said it out loud. And then I finally, you know, after some time, I got a coffee. Now, I'm sure that's not for all of you Quebecers, but it did kind of irk me a little bit that the fact that we reside in the same goddamn country and we are a multilingual, a dual language country, that I can't seem to get a coffee in my own country, even though you speak a different language. Maybe that sounds a little, I don't know, maybe I should learn French, but I have no intent on ever going back to Quebec. But I will tell you this, to end this story off, because I think we're getting a little over our story time limit here. I can sure tell where the equalization payments went. Ha ha! That'll spark a little debate in the comments. All those billions of dollars, because if you look at the infrastructure, and hear me out, you look at the infrastructure in Alberta, BC, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba. Our roads are absolutely god-awful. I have to safety my truck every 6 months, but yet our highways go, I don't know, 3-4 years without ever being touched with any kind of pavement, and they suck, and they blow tires out, and they blow leaf springs, and they do this, and they do that, blah, blah, blah. It's pitiful. But over in Quebec, their roads are mwah, chef's kiss. Their infrastructure on rest areas, how new everything was on the Trans-Canada, the dealerships, the coffee shops, the businesses, the amount of, what's the word I'm looking for? New buildings going up. You know, all of this stuff, it actually made me mad because I look at how Western Canada is, and our rest areas are a pull-out with a trash bin, and if you're lucky, you get a nicely paved pull-out rest area with a building that has a toilet or 2 toilets in it that you shit or pee into a hole in the ground. That, yes, there's probably lots of them, and people try to do their best to service those, but they don't get serviced as much as they should. Meanwhile, over there, you can pull off, you can go get a coffee, you go right at, you know, most of those rest areas have a truck stop. Where over here, a lot of the times you're parking in the middle of Timbuk frickin' 2 in the bush on like a 8-foot wide by 20-foot wide pull-out where your truck and your trailer are still kind of sticking out in traffic, and you don't know if you're going to wake up in the morning to your trailer pushed into the back of your bunk. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy to see where the money from the western side of Canada went. Now, that's just my opinion. Let's see if I can spark a debate in the comments. And if I do, please be... Actually, you know what? No bars held. If there's a debate in the comment, I want to hear the nastiest of it all. Because I feel like a lot of people are very patriotic to where they reside in this country. So it could be a dog-eat-dog fight in the comments. I don't know. Maybe I'm not even big enough to have a debate in the comments, but I would like to see you guys engage on what your thoughts are. But yeah, in a very long and roundabout way, that is the first story that I will let you in on of my over-the-road trucking career.
Well, everyone, that's the end of it for now. Another day, another dollar made, you know. If you guys could do me an absolute huge favor, I'd be more than appreciative and grateful for it. If you could give this page a follow, Driving with Oz, share, like, comment, subscribe. Oh man, that would be awesome. And until next time, keep that shiny side up, keep that greasy side down, and we'll check you on the flip-flop. Come on.